Caitlin and her status, just how did she look? How did she feel today during shoot around? And is she making progress and getting closer playing?
She's making progress. You know, I think, again, top of mind, I think I told you this afternoon, is just long term. You know, making sure that we don't have any setbacks. You know, making progress and feeling good are two different things. And we want to make sure that she feels good. We want to make sure that she's confident. We want to make sure that we're not putting her in a position to have any setbacks. And that's the priority right now.
And Indiana has done it. Their first ever Commissioner's Cup championship, knocking off the Minnesota Lynx. This is Howard setting up McDonald, knocking down the tray. Finds a cutting McDonald, easy deuce.
Everybody in the league is sick. That was Caitlin Clark's locker room verdict. 6 salty words that echoed through social media like a dinner bell. How exactly did her injury-riddled Indiana Fever stroll into Target Center and humble the most dominant team in the W?
DeWanna Bonner was brought in for leadership. She was brought in for leadership. And do you want to know all that these young players learned from her? If things don't go your way, refuse to show up. Continue to get paid a max contract while you are sitting out, refusing to play.
Listo. Hey, Fever, good luck. I miss you.
And why did the upset leave so many rivals steaming? Buckle in, because this isn't just a game recap. It's the story of how a roster splintered by injuries.
She got benched, she couldn't handle it, I want out. She's not playing well, she's getting criticized, I want out.
They look pretty flawless, you know, in the way that they're playing. I don't know if different is the word as much as they look even more connected. You know, they're a team that was connected a year ago, but really the nuance of having each other's back on the defensive end, of knowing where your teammate's going to be, you know, discipline to coverages, the connectivity that they have on the offensive end of the floor. I mean, the way that they move with and without the ball, the way that the ball moves makes it really tough to cover. You know, I often say that offense is like a dance, and they are flowing, man. They are making music, and there's no doubt about it. So we have to try to be disruptive, and we have to try to take them out of that rhythm.
Walkouts and outright doubt turned a commissioner's showcase into a live demonstration of everything the league never saw coming. The trouble started long before the opening tip.
Coach, this is your first season with this batch of players, and so I'm just wondering if the Commissioner's Cup is just a stepping stone for greater things to come.
Well, I hope so. But at the same time, you know, we want to take care of business now, right? We want to win a cup. So we're not looking at it necessarily as a stepping stone. We're looking at it as an opportunity to win. And then we're looking at it, you know, as coaches, as an opportunity to continue to stack days. You know, we haven't had a lot of consistency in our lineup. And so we haven't really built that camaraderie and connectedness that we need in order for us to be successful. But we can take another step towards growth, another step towards consistency on the floor, in execution, in energy level. You know, we're playing the best team in the league right now, and we've got to come out and we got to play our A game.
Vegas handicappers had the Fever as 14-point underdogs, and you didn't need a spreadsheet to understand why. Clark, Indiana's headline machine, scoring engine, and box office draw, was stuck in street clothes for the third straight night.
Head coach Stephanie White has a motto. She says, pressure is a privilege. You came into the former champion's house and took them down on their home floor. How does it feel to bring Indiana their first championship?
It feels great. We knew that we had to come in here with energy. We know that they're a great team and they were going to go on runs. And so for us, it was about containing those runs and then going on our own.
What are some of the keys that you see as to how exactly you're going to do that, or what you guys need to do to approach the game successfully?
Yeah, I mean, I think we've got to be disruptive. You know, we've got to make sure that that we play with a level of physicality that doesn't allow them to just pass the ball around where everywhere that they want to pass it. So we've got to make sure that we're disruptive. We got to make sure that we're elite at our on-ball screen defense. This is a team that reads really well, that moves really well. We got to be elite at the point of attack on on-ball screen defense. We've got to. We always talk about guarding our yard, being able to guard one-on-one so we're not in rotation early. I think for us, it's going to have to start on the defensive end of the floor so that allows us to get out and run in transition as well. But we can't allow them to just do exactly what they want to do on the offensive end.
Nursing a groin that refused to cooperate. Her absence was more than statistical. It yanked the oxygen out of the entire offense. Opponents could finally pack the lane, double Aaliyah Boston.
What gave you the confidence to come in here and take down this team on their home floor?
We knew we were capable. God has equipped us. And so for us, about coming in here and doing what we know what to do. I think the entire game, coach just continued to instill that confidence, continue to tell us take it one possession at a time, and we did that.
The game plan was obviously to wall off the paint against you and Tosh, but both of you guys finished with double-doubles. How did you guys get freed up? And for you especially, how'd you get going late in this game?
I mean, it started with Tosh. Tosh, that entire first half and even that entire game, just really took it to them, made them have to guard. And so with her attacking from different angles, they had to space out a little bit. And that fourth quarter, I was able to score.
Finds a cutting McDonald, easy deuce.
Beautiful read by Natasha Howard. And Ari McDonald, that opened up the three-point shot.
Howard to steal. Open floor in front of her, got the lay. Indiana battling.
This crowd is quiet.
And turned Kelsey Mitchell into a one-woman rescue mission. As if that weren't grim enough, Damiris Dantas was thousands of miles away at the FIBA AmeriCup. And six-time All-Star DeWanna Bonner.
Natasha Howard is a former Defensive Player of the Year, knows the ball is coming to Nafisa Collier, just gets that deflection, gets going in the open court. And it is all Indiana in terms of the momentum in this game right now. This building is quiet.
It was a team effort tonight, but with 16 points, 12 rebounds, and 4 assists, your MVP is Natasha Howard.
Had just waltzed out the door after 9 rocky games, waving goodbye to the max contract and the leadership role she was hired to fill. On paper, the Fever weren't limping. They were crawling, but the outside chaos forged something strange inside. Players who'd spent weeks wondering which lineup would survive until Friday suddenly had nothing left to lose. There were rumors that certain vets bristled at the Clark spotlight, that the weight of non-stop media requests had bruised egos and tested patience. Yet as Bonner's locker sat empty and Dantas's national team photos popped up on Instagram, a fresh mantra surfaced. If everybody out there expects a funeral, why not give them a resurrection instead? The bond didn't come from kumbayas or heartfelt speeches. It came from the blunt reality that no cavalry was riding in. Whatever happened in Minneapolis would be decided by the 8 bodies still suiting up. Game night felt like a setup for disaster. The Target Center crowd hoisted Lynx blue, ready for a coronation. Minnesota entered with the league's best record, the defending Cup, and an MVP frontrunner in Nafisa Collier. Analysts predicted a track meet blowout. Then the ball went up and Indiana punched first, hard. Natasha Howard, a former Defensive Player of the Year who'd spent the week hearing she was washed, erupted for quick buckets in the lane, swiped a steal at mid-court, and bullied Collier into an early turnover. Mitchell buried a transition 3 that sucked the noise out of the building, and Boston, finally fed in her favorite elbow spot, muscled in a left-hand hook. The Fever weren't playing slow-down survival ball. They were sprinting, cutting, swinging passes like the lead story belonged to them all along. Defense told the bigger secret. Without Clark to orchestrate, Indiana's coaches ditched their usual switching scheme and installed an aggressive on-ball blitz, forcing Minnesota's guards toward the sidelines where help was waiting. Collier found herself catching at awkward angles, and every Lynx skip pass turned into a race against Indiana's weak side rotations. By halftime, the Lynx were shooting bricks, and Fever backups like Sophie Cunningham and Lexi Hull were diving onto the hardwood as if bonus checks depended on floor burns. Minnesota fans could feel it. Underdogs weren't supposed to look this calm. Then came the words that lit up the night. cameras followed Indiana into the visitors' locker room after the third quarter, just as momentum was tipping again. Clark, in warm-ups and high tops, raised the gleaming cup trophy like a chalice, laughed, and chirped, "Guys, I just know everybody in the league is sick." The phrase splashed across phones within minutes. It wasn't mean-spirited, it was matter-of-fact. Sick of the attention, sick of the ticket spikes, sick of the rookies' highlight passes. Whatever the cause, rivals were fed up. Clark had just named the elephant in the arena, and her teammates howled because it was true. The Fever took the floor for the final frame, acting as if those 6 words were actual fuel. Under that fuel, Howard kept torching the Lynx. She nailed all 8 free throws she attempted, snatched rebounds in traffic, and found Ari McDonald on a backdoor cut that sealed the deal. When Boston posted Collier, spun baseline, and kissed a high-arcing banker off glass, the broadcast camera caught Minnesota coach Cheryl Reeve muttering into her clipboard. No answers left. The Lynx finished a frosty 34.9% from the field. Indiana closed 74-59, a 15-point triumph that flipped the predicted margin on its head. Outside the building, casual fans scrolled their feeds and noticed another twist. ESPN had queued up a highlight reel titled "Lynx Dominate Fever to Win Commissioner's Cup," ready to publish as soon as the buzzer sounded. Viewers screenshot the blunder before editors yanked it offline. The slip reinforced the storyline. Almost everyone had buried Indiana before a single possession. Suddenly, the narrative flipped from overmatched to overlooked, and nothing sells dopamine clicks like a revenge plot. That revenge plot deepened 2 days later when WNBA All-Star player ballots leaked. Clark, who led fans and media voting by a mile, landed a lukewarm 9th among fellow players, despite averaging 20-plus and top 5 dimes. Commentators Michelle Tafoya and Dick Vitale railed about professional envy, while online threads debated whether veterans were punishing the rookie's popularity. Fever supporters saw vindication in that locker room quote. Critics saw confirmation of long, simmering grievances. Either way, the jealousy conversation went nationwide. Meanwhile, in Indiana's camp, something subtler unfolded. With Clark still day-to-day, the coaching staff treated the cup prize money like a trust fall. Players voted to fund a mini-retreat during the Olympic break. Paintball, team dinners, no cameras. Results surfaced immediately. Ball movement in subsequent games shot up, turnovers dropped, and bench celebrations bordered on comical skits. When opponents hacked Clark on her first game back, teammates formed a human wall between her and the official, sending their own message: "Bump one of us, fight us all." By early August, the doubters repositioned. Analysts now labeled Indiana the scariest matchup if healthy. Howard's MVP award turned into a springboard, her per-game board spiked, and she began directing huddles previously reserved for coaches. Boston emerged as a high-low facilitator, zipping backdoor passes that put highlight editors on standby. Mitchell, free from single coverage at last, feasted on drive and kick triples. What started as emergency adjustments hardened into an actual blueprint. Spread the floor, cut with purpose. Defend like your next contract depends on every help rotation. Through it all, Clark's comment continued to hover. Opponents fouled harder, broadcast panels argued louder, and the Fever kept meeting every shove with a scoreboard answer. They understood the paradox. The more resentment they generated, the deeper their chemistry grew. Pressure, head coach Stephanie White reminded reporters, is a privilege. Before the Cup, that line sounded like coach speak. After Minneapolis, it felt like prophecy. And what about those who walked away? When reporters asked whether Bonner's early exit still stung, Howard shrugged. "People show you their priorities," she said, "and then you adjust yours." Translation: the locker room door swings both ways. The Fever chose to keep theirs wide open, for the right people only. So where does the story go now? The schedule ahead includes a brutal West Coast swing, the Aces eyeing revenge, and 3 nationally televised games that will either cement Indiana as true contenders or reinflate the old doubts. Clark's groin is on a strict minutes plan. Boston is chasing her first rebounding title. Howard's bounce-back campaign has pundits whispering about a late-season DPOY push, and every arena Indiana enters sells out within hours. There's money, ego, and pride on the line, but after the cup, none of it feels bigger than the bond formed while half the roster sat in ice baths. If the Fever were this lethal running on patched lineups and adrenaline, imagine the damage they can cause at full strength. Rivals are already sick, as Clark likes to put it. The real question is whether that sickness is terminal, or if the league can develop an antidote before playoff seeding locks in. One truth remains unshakable. Heart and chemistry don't show up on scouting reports until it's too late. Indiana just taught the WNBA that lesson in prime time, and they did it with a smile, a trophy-turned goblet, and 6 little words that might echo all the way to October. For the Fever, 2025 isn't a revenge tour. It's a warning flare. Everybody saw what happens when you doubt them. Next time, there won't be any surprise. So tell me, when this team finally rolls out at full capacity, do you still like the odds against them? Or will the rest of the league stay sick while Indiana keeps curing its own doubts one upset at a time? Drop your take below, hit subscribe, and keep that notification bell ready. The Fever story is only getting hotter, and you won't want to miss the next chapter.